Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. So we all got regrets in life, man. Like, nobody's life is absolutely perfect. There's things in the past that we wish we could change, right? So for today's video, what we got is the one player every NBA team quit on too soon. I was actually thinking, guys, that for tomorrow on my main channel, Crispy Flakes, I was thinking about putting all of these players into the current NBA, like on their actual team. If that is the video you guys want to see on my main channel, Crispy Flakes, drop a like on this video so I know that, and make sure you are subscribed to that. Link to that channel is in the description below, man. So, yeah, the one player every NBA team quit on too. So if you want to predict in the comment section below what you think your team's is, let me know. I know for the Pistons, oh God, there's so many. Chris Middleton, Spencer Dinwiddie, plenty of other players, I'm sure, in the past. But yeah, man, let's go on this, because this is, of course, for the past 30 years, right? So we got for the Atlanta Hawks, Luka Doncic. I mean, yeah, like straight up, you know, Luka would have been good for the Hawks. Yeah, I mean, he's an MVP caliber player. I mean, Trae Young's been fine too. I mean, he's been great, actually, guys. So yeah, I don't think that's that big a deal. I still don't think Atlanta Hawks fans regret that trade whatsoever, because who is to say both those players would have been as good on opposite teams anyway, right? I think it's kind of worked out for the best for both sides. Next up, we got the Boston Celtics with my guy, Chauncey Billups. Yeah, so Chauncey Billups was kind of a, like, wanderer before he found his way on the Detroit Pistons. He went to multiple teams, and, yeah, he was finding himself getting traded a lot. He was, like, a top 5 pick in the draft or something like that, too. But, yeah, man, you know, Chauncey Billups could have been Mr. Big Shot, you know, alongside Paul Pierce. Eventually, maybe Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett still come to the team, and, you're looking at a big-time dynasty, right? But then again, Rondo was very important for the Boston Celtics also. Next up, we got the Brooklyn Nets with Mookie Blaylock. I was going to keep this man based solely off his name. Mookie is a fantastic name, guys. Unless you're playing like crap, they're going to call you Dookie out there, man. But regardless, yeah, I don't know much about him. I don't really have much of an opinion. You guys let me know in the comment section below. But it seems like at the time, of course, it was the New Jersey Nets. They let go of him a little bit too soon. Next up, we got the Charlotte Hornets with Alonzo Mourning. So, yeah. Alonzo, he had a lot of good years, mainly on the Miami Heat, was also really good for a stint with the Charlotte Hornets, and he played, like, good until late in his career, right? Of course, I think he had to retire a little bit earlier, because I think he had, like, heart troubles and stuff like that. But yeah, man, like at the time, this is the perfect type of center you want. Somebody that straight up protected the paint, was athletic, could crash the boards. Yeah, I've always liked Alonzo Mourning as a player. Next up, we got Chicago Bulls with LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah, they drafted him, and I believe they traded him. Was it for, like, Tyrese Thomas or somebody like that? Who at the time, Tyrese Thomas was a beast. But, yeah, Tyrese Thomas has not been in the NBA for quite some time, and LaMarcus Aldridge is still taking care of business on the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, man, I mean, eventually you're looking at LaMarcus, Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose, and that team. Carlos Boozer was, he was like okay, wasn't he, on the Bulls? He wasn't the greatest. I remember we did that thing, we put like that damn like tar over his hair or something like that. But no, I mainly like Carlos Boozer on the Utah Jazz. But yeah, I mean a prime Marcus Aldridge with Derrick Rose would have been a big time problem, and Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, all those guys. Next up, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers with Jamal Crawford. So yeah, Jamal Crawford. Another guy that, didn't really find his role till later on in his career. I do remember him playing like the New York Knicks and stuff like that too. I think he played with like Hugh Rich for a bit. But eventually found himself on the Clippers and one of the greatest six-man of all time. You might even say the greatest six-man of all time. You guys let me know that in the comment section below. But, yeah, it was in the 2000 draft, which was very weak anyway. But eventually he could have been a nice player for LeBron James. It would have been something for LeBron, because for the longest time, LeBron did not really have much on the Cleveland Cavaliers regardless. Next up, we got the Dallas Mavericks with Steve Nash. So, yeah, would have big Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki. That team probably could have won a few championships. Now, with that being said, I don't really regret this if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, or even, well, mainly a Phoenix Suns fan, right? Just because it's another case where Steve Nash was a late bloomer, and that system on the Suns was built for him. That 7-second offense to D'Antoni, like, you were not going to be running that with Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, you could get away with it with Amari Stoudemire and Shawn Marion, because those are extremely athletic guys. But once again, it's another case that I don't know if he becomes the same player if he would have stayed with the Dallas Mavericks. Not that he was bad on there, of course. Next up, we got the Denver Nuggets with Dikembe Mutombo. So yeah, around this time, so obviously a younger Dikembe Mutombo right here, but he was pretty much good till the very end, man. Like, I remember he was on that Philly team with Allen Iverson. He was like freaking 97 at that point, so he could have been a big-time beacon of their team. And yeah, probably would not really play with Melo. I think that was a little bit too late in his career, right? So probably would not have seen him there. But regardless, somebody that could have been the anchor for a very long time. Next up, we got the Detroit Pistons with Allen Houston. I don't really got much of an opinion on this. This was definitely before my time. Yeah, because he was the pick in the 1993 draft. I was literally 1 year of age, so I don't got too much of an opinion on this one right here. But I think what it was is they went to like re-sign him in free agency, and the Pistons were kind of being bitch asses about salary and contracts and stuff, and they really like underballed him. And he went to New York Knicks, and the rest is history, right? I mean, if you're not going to pay your star players, they're going to go elsewhere. Plain and simple. Next up, we got the Golden State Warriors with Mitch Richmond. Okay, yeah. Richmond, though. That's Coach Carter, right? Very good movie right there. Yeah, I mean, I know The Rock right here. That was his name, right? The Rock. I know he was a great player. Don't really know the situation. Vince Carter demanded consideration, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, yeah, looks like he was traded away or something like that. Next up, we got, I did not know this, Houston Rockets with Richard Jefferson. I mainly remember Richard Jefferson on the New Jersey Nets with Jason Kidd and Vince Carter and that whole team and everything like that. But it looks like they select him with the 13th overall pick, and they ended up trading him away or something like that. But no, man, I mean, he got an all-rookie second team. Yeah, he was like a good player. You don't really talk about Richard Jefferson a lot, but he was a very solid player for quite some time. Next up, yeah, this one right here, we got Kawhi Leonard of the Indiana Pacers, who was, of course, infamously traded for George Hill, which, once again, you know, you can't really, well, I don't know, man, you can blame them because, I don't know, Greg Popovich kind of finessed a little bit because Greg Popovich was really high on George Hill. It was like one of his favorite players. So from that standpoint, you can be like, oh, the Pacers are like, well, I mean, if they really like George Hill, you know, if that's what Greg Popovich really likes, then he must be a really good player, and he was. But with that being said, anytime you do a trade with Greg Popovich, you gotta realize you're probably coming off on the losing end of that because the man's a mastermind at the game of basketball, right? So, yeah, I mean, I would have held on to him just for that reason. But it could be Kawhi Leonard and Paul George like it is now, except early on in the Eastern Conference, and I'm sure that team could have gave LeBron James. Definitely some issues out there. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Clippers with Lamar Odom. So they land him with the 4th pick. See, if you've been watching the NBA for a long time, you know that the Clippers, before the CP3 Blake Griffin days, was an absolute cursed franchise, guys. That team did so much wrong out there, man. Like, they were literally, it was called the Clippers curse. Obviously, they bounced back from that now, but, yeah, Lamar Odom ended up going to the Lakers, actually. Well, eventually, yeah, because he was on the Lakers. He was actually on the Miami Heat, then got traded. He was part of the Shaquille O'Neal trade, I believe. And, yeah, he was another really good six-man, a guy that was kind of before his time, very similar to a Ben Simmons type of player, you know, a 6'10", 6'9" forward that can play like a point guard. So, yeah. Alrighty, next up we got Marc Gasol of the Los Angeles Lakers. So, yeah, this was part of the Kwame Brown swap that got Pau Gasol on the Lakers. Now, obviously, in hindsight, Pau Gasol and Kobe was great. Marc Gasol could have been great for that team too, but I don't blame them for doing that because nobody knew Marc Gasol was going to be that anyway. So, and Pau's time on the Grizzlies was just kind of coming to an end. He was an all-star player on that team. They just weren't really going anywhere. Next up, we got Memphis Grizzlies with Kyle Lowry. Yeah, Lowry was actually, he was on the Grizzlies. He was also on the Houston Rockets for some time too. Both teams that, you know, I don't really blame them either way because for the Grizzlies, they ended up having Mike Conley, he was a great player for that franchise for a long time. And as far as the Houston Rockets go, I mean, yeah, he could have been nice with James Harden, essentially, you know, chemistry-wise, but the fact is they still end up getting Russell Westbrook later on down the road. Chris Paul, of course, too, so no regrets. Next up, Miami Heat, Steve Smith. Don't know much about him. I know the player, of course, but, yeah, 1991 5th overall pick. And he averaged 12 points, 5 assists per game. Alrighty, yeah, that's all we got. Next up, we got Milwaukee Bucks with Ray Allen. So, yes, Ray Allen, I mean, he was much more than just a three-point shooter, guys. On the Milwaukee Bucks, he has some crazy-ass athleticism. Now, eventually, he was traded away. He played for the Seattle Supersonics with Charlie Lewis, Luke Ridnour, Chris Wilcox. Yeah, that was a team right there, man. But, you know, eventually, the Milwaukee Bucks did end up getting Michael Redd, which Michael Redd was actually, shooting-wise, I mean, obviously not as good as Ray Allen, but, the dude was absolutely one of the best shooters in the NBA anyway, and if it wasn't for injuries, he would have really improved his game, you know, over the years anyway, man. So, wait, what was the trade? The Minnesota Timberwolves may have made it loud and Clay for blah, 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 since they traded him on draft night with a future first-round pick for Stephon Marbury. Damn, bro. So it looks like the T-Wolves made the big-time problem, not the Bucks. Next up, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves with Brandon Roy. Oh, my God, bro. You guys could have had Steph Curry and Brandon Roy on the same team. Who would have known, man? If he would have been on the T-Wolves, like, drafted by them, he may not have got the serious injuries, guys. And that could have been your damn team, assuming you guys would have got it right. But, He actually did end his career with the Timberwolves. That was after like the 17 knee surgeries he had, and he just wasn't the same player. But damn, bro. I don't know, like the Pistons get a lot of like crap out there for poor draft choices, but damn, Timberwolves got to be number one. Nah, Portland Trailblazers, but still. Next up, we got the New Orleans Pelicans with Buddy Hield. I mean, they got DeMarcus Cousins for him, and you know, if DeMarcus would have stayed healthy, him and Anthony Davis, they could have won a championship, man. It could have been that good, but of course, you know, hindsight is 20 billion. Next up, we got Gallinari on the New York Knicks. Yeah, Gallinari, when he was first drafted by the Knicks, was actually talked about to be like a damn superstar, all-star of the NBA, and it's so stupid, guys, because they trade him away and like all these other players to the Denver Nuggets to get Carmelo Anthony literally a half a season ahead of schedule, which didn't even make any damn sense because they had no talent around Carmelo Anthony. They could have just damn waited, man. He still would have went there. He wanted to go to New York anyway. I really irks me. I'm not even a Knicks fan. Next up, we got James Harden, OKC Thunder. Yup, I mean, we all know this one. They chose Serge Ibaka over him, which, you know, Serge Ibaka was a good power forward, and James Harden was coming off the bench, and they feel like they had enough scoring power with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Another case that James Harden would not become the player he was today if he would have stayed as like that third or fourth man on the team anyways. So I think it was good that he ended up getting traded. Next up, we got the Magic, Shaquille O'Neal. So this isn't really the Magic giving up on Shaq. This was more so Shaq not really wanting to be on the Magic. Of course, he had the Lakers in his mindset, his eyesight. That's the team he wanted to go to, and the rest is history. Next up, we got the 76ers with Jerry Stackhouse. So it was the Sixers were demolished in the 1992 trade that sent out Charles Barkley, but he forced their hand so they could get him off the hook. Blah blah blah. Okay, so big time trades going down, and it looks like they could have had Jerry Stackhouse, who would have been a nice player alongside Allen Iverson. I mean, that 2001 76ers team got to the finals, but with not a lot. It was Iverson and everybody else, like an old-ass Dikembe Mutombo and stuff, man. So Jerry Stackhouse definitely would have at least taken some pressure off Allen Iverson and could have had some 30-point games himself out there. Next up, Phoenix Suns, Joe Johnson. Yeah, he would have been perfect for that 7-second offense. Him and Steve Nash would have been fantastic for many seasons, but I guess they didn't want him, right? Now, without that being said, they weren't like, because Joe Johnson's not exactly the greatest defender out there, and they had like Raja Bell alongside Steve Nash. Bell was a good defensive player. They already had the Brazilian Blur, which was Leonardo Barbosa. So, I mean, I get it. But of course, Joe Johnson was an all-star, and those other guys were not. Next up, we got Zebo out of the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, I mean, good, solid grit and grind player that had a good foundation with the Memphis Grizzlies for a long time. Early on, you're looking at, maybe Zebo playing with LaMarcus Aldridge, Brandon Roy. Who knows what that team could have done? Damn, he had a 24-10 season, and they got rid of him, man. Why? Okay, I guess, yeah, they had LaMarcus already. And Greg Oden, okay. I mean, yeah, once again, it's another case where you just didn't know what was going to happen to Greg Oden, who could have been a generational big guy. Next up, we got the Sacramento Kings with Isaiah Thomas. Yes, ended up going to the Boston Celtics, having a 30-point-per-game season, playing like damn MVP out there. I mean, the Kings, not only as Isaiah Thomas, but you could also see Hassan Whiteside, who was picked in the second round and really just a bench warmer for them for a long time. That could have been a nice little duo. Next, we got Goran Dragic of the Spurs. So, yes, I think he was drafted 45th overall in another case of the Spurs just being masterminds when it comes to the NBA draft. But they already had, like, Tony Parker on that team still, and it looks like he probably would have ended up just getting, like, throw at the end of the rotation, or, like, throwing, like, the bottom of the bench and really never becoming what he ended up being here in the NBA. Next up, Toronto Raptors with Marcus Camby. Good defensive center, mainly on the Denver Nuggets. Had a nice little mid-range shot, too. But, yeah, he was on the Raptors, I guess. And, he played 3 seasons with them. I mean, why'd they get rid of him? Okay, I guess they had Chris Bosh already. But, I mean, even Chris Bosh with Marcus Camby could have been nice. Next up, Utah Jazz, Mo Williams. I actually remember Mo Williams on the Milwaukee Bucks. So, yes, he was drafted 47th in 2003. But he was on the Bucks, man. And there was a time there where he was, like, looked upon to be, like, a next, like, superstar point guard. Like, he was talked about that much on there. Ultimately made his way to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Never won a championship with them. Although, wait. Well, he didn't win when he was good. I think he was on the team that actually ended up winning a championship, though. I don't remember, guys, but he was nice. He was a nice player. And then finally, we got Chris Webber of the Washington Wizards. So, yeah, it says right here, man, the Wizards have a bad habit of prematurely quitting on players. They could add Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace. You guys could have been the Detroit Pistons. Even Chris Webber was on the Pistons eventually. Larry Hughes hit free agency after averaging 22 and 6. Yeah, but he was trash on the Cavaliers anyway. But, yeah, man, they could have had C. Webb, who, of course, became a superstar player for the Sacramento Kings. But, like I was saying, guys, if this is a video you want to see me do on NBA 2K20, put all of these current players on these teams in the NBA 2K20, guys. Drop a like on this video. Go subscribe to my main channel, Crispy Flakes, so I know you want to see that. And peace out, my friends.